everybody. This is Rich Hanlin with Mortgage Ballers. Today I got Dave Warter on the interview. We captured him from sunny California, the Capitola, Santa Cruz. Yes, he was probably surfing this morning, but we got him right now with us. He was saved from the white sharks off the Pacific coast just to be here with us today. Dave, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Rich. I really appreciate it.
Right on. And I love all those books in the background. You must do a lot of reading.
That's right. Yeah. As we discussed before, I'm actually in my home office, so definitely need the good background to make me look professional. It seems like everybody's doing that now. You know, we're all based out of our home office, and I like to get out and meet people. So that's usually where I'm meeting, you know, referral partners, clients, is to get out, have a cup of coffee, do that face to face now. That feels really good that we have that opportunity now. Yeah, West Coast is really challenging. So I have 2 kids here, so I'm grounded here. But my dad left us a very small property in Arizona though, and oh my gosh, I just a whole different mindset there. Like it is a lot more friendly to business and working from home and all that kind of stuff too. So sometimes I'm there, but you know, for the most part,
I like it. Dave, how long you been doing loans?
Yeah, so I started back in 1998. My dad was a mortgage broker. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of dating myself, but got a real estate license then, and that's how we all did it. And I still have it. Obviously, I kept the real estate license, but I got my NMLS too. And my dad was a mortgage broker, sole proprietor, and he'd been doing it for a while, but I came on with him, helped him build his business, and then start to grow my own. And then in 2005, I went to work for Washington Mutual doing multifamily. So when the crash happened, Chase came in, took over WAMU, and they really liked the multifamily business we were doing. I mean, obviously the single family business that WAMU was doing totally went away, but Chase really liked our business and the loans that we were writing. So I stayed in multifamily commercial for like 12 years. So it wasn't until 2018 that I came back into single family. I just kind of realized I wasn't drinking the corporate Kool-Aid, and it wasn't really the space for me long term. So I came back and started doing single family again.
I like it. Do you do it individually? Are you part of a team? How do you do your business?
So my dad was my first mentor, taught me the important fundamentals of the business and taking care of clients. Just like, you know, this is a referral-based business. You take care of people, you're fair with them, and, you know, they'll come back to you and they'll refer you. And that was, you know, the biggest piece that I learned up front. And then my second mentor that came along, who was like, actually, this business is very competitive and cutthroat. Like, it's not a lot of people that are out to help you. And so I found another mentor. My dad had long since retired in 2010. He wasn't interested in doing this after Dodd-Frank. He was like, yeah, I'm too long in the tooth. I'm not going to be a broker and try to do that. And so he retired. And then in 2020 was actually when I started working with my next important mentor. His name's Jeff. You know, we're the same age. We're still good friends. We usually, you know, have lunch every Friday and still keep in touch. He really helped me with the origination side of things. He wanted me to grow and build. It was good. Like, hey, you know how to take care of the clients you have, but how are we growing and building your business? And he set up a team we were with a mortgage banker, which was a little bit challenging. That's a different side of things. Definitely like being back with a broker, much better. But he set up a team, and we set up a system where, I mean, one of your questions I know, because I looked at it, was what's your average day like? We kind of broke it down into the week. Like Monday is get in there and talk to those people. Like maybe you went to a networking event and you met somebody like, oh, I connected. I really want to reach out to them again. New business, set up a coffee for them hopefully on a Wednesday. And so that's what kind of Monday is about. Tuesday was set for, especially if you're in a purchase market where you're updating your clients. Like, this is where we're at in the process. This is what I need from you. And you always circle in the real estate agent because you know they're going to be calling you, like hounding you. Where's my deal? You're on top of it. You sell them on every Tuesday. I'm going to give you an update. You're going to know what's going on before you even have to ask me. And then Wednesday is usually set aside for those face-to-face meetings. Sorry, I forgot. Monday is also a meet with the team. We always had a team meeting with our processing team to make sure where we're at. Then we could do the Tuesday updates. Wednesday was usually hopefully a face-to-face with a client or a referral partner. Thursday was another team meeting. And then Friday was just connect with your you've got your A's, B's, and C's as far as referral people. Connect with your A's. And even like my dad, before he passed, like I would call him every Friday just because he was my first original mentor. Like, have those good connections with those people that are important to you, that help, give you that drive and know what you're trying to do and help you, build your business, and just even as a person, like what's going on with your personal life and what's going on with work. So we kind of tried to structure our week like that. And that was an important thing that Jeff helped me do to like keep me focused and building business and continuing the business that I already had.
That's awesome. You answered all my questions. Thank you so much for your time today. No, you went right into it, which was you segued right into that, which is good. Structure, consistency. The repeating theme. How are you leveraging your time towards the outcome you want versus the outcome you don't want? And however you figure that part out is different for everyone. I have suggestions, but it gets ingrained in you and it works. You stay consistent and it just keeps going and going. And people say, well, Rich, I go back. There's months I had 0 loans. Hell, there was one stretch I went 3 months in a row without loans. I had lived off credit cards, but then all of a sudden I did like 7 loans. It was back building on itself. It's just sometimes the market does that. But I did the same thing every month. I got out of bed and went and closed the door. I was working out of my house at the time. But no, it was one of the most freeing things I ever did when I left working for a broker. And that first year I made the same amount. I was making $60,000 when I left, December 31st of 1999, because I went into my own first company, January 1st, 2000, working from home. But I was running that office and doing loans. I'd been there for 8 years, and all of a sudden it was just me. My problems were my problems. My energy was I had a lot of time on my hands. I didn't realize how much I was being pulled. And now all I did was work on my loan origination. And, at the end of the year, I was like, well, not only did I control my time, I replaced with, it worked. I didn't make more money, but I replaced it 100% that I could do it. And I just never went back. I was like, just keep going. Just keep going. And I started cranking, as Catherine Barnett said, I started just cranking the dial a little bit more, a little more. And then I needed help. And then I needed a couple of loan originators. Now I have 620 of you. I'm like, wow, it's back then working out of my house. I never imagined 35 years later, like your dad. I didn't know I'd be doing this 35 years later. It's been a blink of an eye.
Right.
It goes fast.
Yes, it does.
Crazy.
Yes, it does.
All right. Tell me this. You've answered like 20 of my questions, but I still have more on you because I'll come get you either way. I want to know, you're in the California market. And again, where are you at? Never mind. What does the average person, is there even a first-time home buyer market in your area? It's one of the most expensive areas in California, right on the coast.
Yeah, that's one of the most challenging things. And it is one of the things that I love the most about this business, is helping somebody purchase. And I have that. So love working with a wide variety. I love working with first-time home buyers. It's really challenging for them out here. And then I have that commercial background. So in 2018, when I left Chase, every time we do a commercial loan, they'd be like, you guys are so amazing to work with. Can you please do my single family? Not how Chase worked. It was very segmented. You did multifamily loans and you did apartment loans, or you did the commercial side. You didn't do both. You did one or the other. And you certainly didn't have anything to do with single family. And it was very structured where you had to refer someone to a single family person at Chase. And they just weren't very good. And we'd send them to the single family person at Chase. The interesting thing with commercial versus single family, or multifamily versus single family, is the underwriters don't really get the other asset. Like single family underwriters, they just see debt on the multifamily side, and then vice versa. They just see it as debt. They don't see that like these multifamily apartment buildings are a gold mine. Like they produce all this income. It's not just a debt, And so that was challenging. I just thought, I'm just going to run away with it. Now I'm going to do loans for all these multifamily people and do their single family, because a lot of them had rental income that was single family. And when the rates finally hit where they needed to be in 2020, it was really challenging to get underwriters to focus on those loans, because they had so many different loans. It was post-Dodd-Frank, so we had to get information on every single property they had. And they were just like, I just want the one cookie cutter. Like, bring me a first-time home buyer. And I'm like, well, I have them here in California, and there were some opportunities, but it is really challenging. So I go out of my way and bend over backwards for first time home buyers, but sometimes that's kind of like pro bono work out here. It's like, maybe it's going to work, maybe it's not, and they get discouraged really easily. So you've got to partner with a good real estate agent who has a lot of patience and likes. And that's the other thing with real estate agents is here, they want to focus on the listing because they win. It's changing a little bit. Our market is finally starting to change. We'll see where it goes. But They list and then they get multiple offers over asking price and the client loves them and everything's great. Where they work with a buyer and it's like, oh my gosh, I've shown them, 8 different properties and we've made 6 offers and none of them were accepted. It's kind of finding that balance where you've got to have the right people that you work with. And one other thing I'll say with that, I didn't want to forget because it's an important part of my business, especially in 2020, 2021, when I realized that, especially in California where I am, any realtor who does a good amount of business, or the whales, if you will, they have 10 of me begging them for business all the time. And now they kind of expect to like, oh, well, you're going to refer me business. And it's like, well, usually how this works is they go to the real estate agent first, which makes no sense. You should figure out what your budget is and talk to me first instead of a real estate agent, but it's not how it works. So what I tapped into was financial planners and accountants. So they have clients that are sophisticated, they have money, and they send you a referral and they've already got money with a financial planner. If the financial planner refers you, that means a lot. They've already entrusted them with their money and they'll send you a really good client, which you can in turn use as a referral for a realtor that you're trying to win their business. You can actually send them a well-qualified client that's ready to go. So I've really focused on my relationships with financial planners and accountants, and that's helped me a lot. Because they don't have, I'm sure that some of them already had maybe a mortgage advisor, but a lot of them will be like, oh, I don't actually have somebody that I work with. And they're very professional. They're licensed in the way that we are, where they have to take some extra steps. Like the barrier to entry for a real estate agent is not very high, but you want to work with the ones that are really great negotiators. I mean, that's what I look for is they're negotiating well.
No, that's awesome. Talking to somebody today, Catherine Barnett does something very similar. She said, I don't like chasing. I only want to work with people that I like. I don't want to sell my soul to the devil. So she said, you know what? And I don't want to be reliant on those realtors. I want to be able to create deals, create a value that I can get deals, and then I can go cherry pick some of the people I'm going to work with. Stephanie Gilbert talked about that as well. I was talking to Christina Gertzen today. And, she's brand new, only been doing a year, but one of the things that she's doing, I thought, man, that's awesome. I never thought of, she goes, Rich, I can't afford leads. Leads are expensive. But what I can afford is I tell people I will pull a soft pull credit report and I will run a analysis on how to get your scores high enough to get you into being able to buy a house. And so she's going after those people that don't think they can buy because their credit's messed up. A lot of people think they have to get to that 750, 780, 800, that like, you got to be an 800 to get the best rate. It's like, no, you don't. Can we get you to a 620 at 3.5% down? At 640, I can run down payment assistance, and you're going to get an incredible rate on an FHA loan, right? It's not like the 800, like on conventional, there's huge amounts of a differentiation in the rates. There might be a small adjustment, but it's very small. VA is the same way. USDA, same way. It's kind of, you just got to make it. And then once you're there, you're there. And you still get those low down payments. And I thought, man, that's awesome. I'm going to make sure people know that. She goes, oh, for like $35, that becomes a strong lead because they're dialed into me. We're doing something. And then she just keeps working it. That's more in her budget. And I said, man, I'm going to share that with people. That's actually pretty good. I used to help people with credit. We had the analyzers and all that stuff, even way back when. But when I first got into purchases, I went after the low-lying fruit, people that had been turned down, found out why, and then we'd analyze the credit. I'd be out a couple $1,000s, but it turned on itself and they became borrowers. And I was able to start giving referrals and stuff like that. And that's how I got crushed, Dave, in 2008. I was refi only from 1991 to 2008. I never did a single purchase. That's the way I came into the industry. I got killed, lost everything, but it's not because I put people in bad loan, just the industry shut down. Unless you knew how to do purchases, you were in a world of hurt. I had to refigure. I had to go work for a purchase-oriented small lender in Sacramento, Neighbors Financial, and I started learning all those products and 203Ks, all. And they're like, man, if you can learn these things, they're always available. And he was right. And it took me about 3 years, and then I reconfigured and opened up, and I became a purchase-oriented broker. And I would take refis when they came, but I only went after realtors, only went after borrowers that were looking to buy. And it changed the whole trajectory of my broker life in this industry, which is absolutely crazy. So I love what you're doing, thinking outside the box. Those are warm leads versus cold leads, and you're making them look good and vice versa. There's a great teamwork there with all that. So I do love it. You know, you're in an area. We were just talking to somebody in Orange County, $1 million to get into a house. I tell you, it's probably like that where you're at as well. You have the same economy, you have the same rates all over the United States. What is your advice to people that are sitting on the fence? I mean, it's been 3 years plus now 2 months, right? Since the low market. We're not raising the rates anymore, but we're seeing optimism out there. Are you seeing any optimism starting to warm up into 2025?
Yeah. The advice that I would give is I talk to a lot of people and they don't always follow through. Like there's no timing the market here, and you've got to be ready. So they'll be like, oh, I want to get started. And then, I should have 3 times the amount of pre-approvals that I actually have. People get started, they do the pre-approval, but what's your budget? Like, what is it? Let's figure out your budget. Then we know. Then when the opportunity comes, we could be coming into, I don't know that we're ever going to see a buyer's market in my area, but our version of a buyer's market, because it's already started to soften some, and we'll see what happens. Rates coming down usually just drives things up, but be ready. That's what I would say is just be ready, get pre-approved, and, be ready when the opportunity hits. Because if you're not, and you're not serious, there's no way you're going to buy here. It's just, you're going to miss out, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I've got a few people that are pre-approved and looking, and it's also about the right real estate agent. I had a borrower, who was, I've worked with her for a while, and she was looking for a non-owner. And she was looking on her own, and it just wasn't happening. I pre-approved her like 4 times. Like, we'd get all the information, and she's got she manages like 4 or 5 different properties that she owns, and she owns with other family members. And so it's a process to get her pre-approved. And we did it like 4 times before she finally found that property. And she found it because she found the right real estate agent. And now I've connected with this agent. She again is another one who does a lot of seller side stuff, but she just recently sent me a buyer, and it was like end of last year we did a loan. And she's a great real estate agent who, like I said, is a really good negotiator, just a really good agent, understands the process. You get so many real estate agents that just don't always have as much respect for what we do on our side and how challenging it is. Like, you got to do the negotiation up front, and then we take over for the next 30 days getting it closed. And we want to get you closed and paid as soon as we possibly can, but there's a process we have to go through to do it. So the ones that understand that, this agent that I've talked about in particular, she's really good, and totally understands that, and finally got this client into we did it as a second home, but it's going to be a rental property that she's doing. She finally helped them find it and negotiated for them and got it closed. So and I'm building on a relationship based on that. So this was actually her agent that she knew. And finally, when they reconnected, then she actually got into a property. So it's just key to get the pre-approval and just have the right team. The borrower said, hey, I had the dream team on this one. And that was like, oh, wow. That was like the nicest thing you could have said was, we did really well. We, performed for her, and she finally closed on property after, I was talking over a couple of years. I did her refis for her non-owner stuff in 2020 and 2021. And she was another one that was challenging to get an underwriter to look at it, but it's like amazing credit, amazing income. And she just has like 3 properties that we need to take from 5.5%, 6% to 3.5% right now because the rates were so good. And then it was another couple of years later that she finally found another property to purchase. But once she had the right team, it worked out.
You know, what's interesting, you said something, but people don't understand this and they just assume that all lenders are the same, you know, but there was a time during that 20 and 21, UWM was so backed up that when I would try and take an investor there, I just didn't price right. So I ended up taking all my investment Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type properties to, at the time, it's now the Loan Store. I'm trying to remember who they were before that. But, you know, they welcomed them. They had no problem with it. But then now we have the DSCR loan. You know, my investors, they don't even mess with all that paperwork. No, I have one guy who has 100 properties and he's always 1031 exchanging 2 of them in order to, and it's, you know, we're doing estimations based on the rents that the market totally gets to see his debt because he makes no other income. It's just all his properties. But like you have to go through every one of them. I finally said, dude, DSCR, it's 0.5%, 0.75% higher in rate. And I don't even need to see your tax returns. Like, we're making this way too hard. This is the new way to do this. The property will stand on its own. And he loves it, you know, because he's a 1 to 4 unit, but he loves duplexes and fourplexes. And I'm like, I can do those all day. And it's nothing now. It's an application. I don't need to see anything. We're going to pull credit and you got the money set aside. We got it done. I use DSCRs for my own stuff. I don't go through all that stuff no more.
It's too difficult. People get so frustrated with the process. I did these in 2020, 2021 as a mortgage bank. I didn't have the broker opportunity. So, and it was like the 2 to 3 years I spent there, it was like, what was I doing? Like I started as a mortgage broker. That was my roots. And then I finally came back and I was like, what was I thinking? Like the stress and the hardship that I had to go through and clients had to go through to get these deals closed was just, you know, that's crazy.
Yeah. What I also found is like the people, the more properties they have and like, oh no, I refinanced those 3. They just haven't showed up yet. And I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm going to have to wait for the updates. Like, you know, there's a lot going on with those properties, but you make the same amount of money, but you do work harder. Well, the underwriters have to work harder too. And that's one thing UWM's like, they'll specialize. Hey, this is my FHA underwriter. Like here at Xpert, we have assigned underwriting units because of the volume we send to UWM, where a lot of places, you know, you send it to Kind and, you know, that person can underwrite whatever you send. It might be even a higher end underwriter at times because they're not going to QC like that person, that loan either dies or it's approved with that underwriter. And that's old school. And maybe it's a volume thing. I know that UWM pushes technology all the time, but sometimes I need the highest end underwriter and I might take that to somebody else if I can burn and turn all day. It's also packaging. Rita Ivy, one of our best loan originators, she does a lot of first time home buyers. If she's off by 1%, her borrower is not going to qualify. So she packages it, takes more time in the packaging side, meeting with people. She doesn't just shoot off. Like it's a done deal if Dorita says it's a done deal. She doesn't need to wait for the underwriter to tell her that. So, I mean, we have some very strong originators throughout the whole United States here, which is awesome in what they do. Here's a question for you. I get it, you got business. I get it, you got structure, but you know what? Eventually, you got to turn it off. When you turn it off, who is Dave Warter when he turns it off? What kind of hobbies, what kind of things do you like to do when you're not in loan mode?
Sure. So I have 2 kids. That's, you know, when I'm not in loan mode, and they're younger too. I started a little late, but my son is 12, Braden's 12 and Finley is 7. So that's my main focus. And I do have to, like, I have some pickups and drop offs on like Mondays and Wednesdays, and I have to structure my time where it's like, okay, I'm focused in the morning. And then there's also just the like, okay, dad's on the phone doing business, just be quiet for a minute, you know, or like I'm walking the track and talking on the phone while my daughter's doing soccer. She started that like a year and a half ago. She loves it. She's great at it. And my son is doing golf classes right now. So
wow. Okay.
I never golfed. Like I kind of did it later in life. I enjoyed it. It's fun, but I'm terrible at it because it's so challenging.
Me too.
So I love that he's doing it now. And that's something that, you know, maybe if he really takes to it, it's something he can just do for the rest of his life. You know, like I played football in high school and I was not nearly good enough to like play in college or anything. And my body wasn't going to stand it anyway. So it was fun. It taught me a lot, but, you know, not something that I can keep doing later on in life. So, I do want to try to golf a little bit more with him. Like he's probably going to give me pointers because he's actually taking classes. But we do a lot of camping and biking and paddleboarding and that kind of thing. So summer's coming up. I'm already getting hit up for like, where are we going? And, what are we going to do our camping trips? But we also, in Capitola, I'm close to the beach too. So I can borrow my mom's little Sprinter van. And I can drive down to the beach and get a cancellation site. I'm actually going to try to do that this weekend with the kids,
That'll be fun.
Stay down there. We're just right on the beach. It's nice. We can camp out, and she should have some decent weather. Just gotta hopefully that it happens, because my 7-year-old's gonna really rip me a new one of, Dad, we're camping, right? You said we're camping. If not, she wants to like camp in the backyard. And it's like, we can do that too, but
We'll do that too.
It's much more fun on the beach.
Have you ever, because there's a big event that happens down, there's a lot of big events, but one of the ones I've always paid attention to over the years is Mavericks. You guys got Mavericks down there, the big waves when they come in, and all the surfers around the world, the best of the best, they call them. They get a 1 hour call to 2 days ahead of, and when it hits, they all converge on Mavericks to ride what could be 100-foot waves, things like that. There's a movie made about it. But we've always watched that because I realize that's just right off of our coastline. We're not having to go all the way around the world to do that. But I've always paid attention. I'm fascinated with big wave riders. Something I've always enjoyed watching. I didn't do it. No. But I enjoy watching that. And over the years, I've told my sons, look, I'm just going to tell you when it is, and we'll go, because I want to see it in person. I imagine just the sound of those 100-foot waves crashing. They don't realize you have to paddle off like almost a half mile offshore to pick the waves up, and you got to get off of it before you get into shore. You're just going to get slammed into rocks. But it's just when the right things happen, this incredible phenomenon happens, and it's been doing it for years, and it was a secret for a long time. It's not for the faint of heart. You got to hold your breath sometimes up to 4 minutes underwater. But yet here you are riding Mavericks in the loan business because it comes in waves. Sometimes we have 100-foot waves when it's 2.5, and then we got no waves. It's just flat right now. And you got to figure out how to make it happen. And it sounds like you've got methodology in place and you just keep going. Number one, you haven't stopped smiling the whole time. Obviously the industry is not tearing you up. And I think kids help that. Because you got to stay positive all the way around, right? But you grew up in the industry. What's it like? Because you're one of my few people. What's it like growing up? Because you're really a second generation mortgage broker. My wife's dad was one of the original mortgage brokers in Sacramento County. Matter of fact, that's who I worked for the 8 years before I went on my own. And I learned a lot from him. It's called Sacramento Home Loans. His name's Dave Richardson. There's a plug. He was a mentor in my life and helped guide me. But then I was like, I want to go do it this way, and he's not going to change his method. He'd been doing it 25 years at that time, but I learned enough to want to go try it myself and take what I had learned. And then eventually I had to do it again and become a purchase-oriented person. You can't just sit on one thing in this industry. I mean, you've touched on purchases, refis, you touched on helping your investors, doing the tougher loans, commercial. It gives you a wide background to help whoever walks in your door, but you're also talking a different language. When they know that you know what you're talking about, it changes the conversations from a naive or very young new person conversation. There's more depth, and the investors like it. Your commercial people like it. There's a built-in trust right away.
Yeah, it's funny you were talking about transitioning from refi to purchase. My dad worked at B of A for a long time, so he was kind of doing the corporate structure thing too, and then just found his niche at the mortgage broker side and was like, oh my gosh, this is the best. Bank of America, he could only do purchase. He couldn't do the refi. So he was forced into, I've got to go network with real estate agents. I worked with him for so long. I thought, okay, I've got to do that. In 2018, I'm going to leave the chase and the commercial side and go back into single family, and it's going to be all real estate agents. And I'm just so charming and great, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm just going to work with all these real estate agents. And it was like, no, you've been out of this side for a while. Like, the real estate agents that my dad worked with, I mean, they were semi-retired too, so I had to start from scratch and realize that, like I said, I mean, they all the good ones already had like 10 of me already that were vying for their business, and they already had the 2 or 3 that they were loyal to. So it was really when I tapped into financial planners and accountants, then I had more of the leverage to go after the real estate agents that I wanted to. I just focus on the solid relationships with the good negotiators, because there's great mortgage brokers, there's not good mortgage brokers. There's good realtors, there's not good realtors. It's just the nature of the business. So when you find that team and the people that you like to work with, it's really helpful. And this helps me too, to like, hey, I need to get back into doing some of the videos that I was doing, and also to, reach out to, I have my go-tos, but I do have a couple of the other, like, especially during 2020 and 21, that, maybe we haven't chatted in a while with either a real estate agent or a financial planner, that just, just reach out again, just reconnect. This is the time to do it, because, good chance we're going to get busy again. And then you're going to be like, oh, I was too busy to, make all of my calls that I wanted to do. So
no, we have, there was over 400,000, 20 and 21, like 423,000. Now we're down to 93,000 licensed people nationwide. I mean, a lot of people have gotten out. I mean, they've had to. Last year, I think the stat was 25 or 28% of all licensed real estate agents did at least one transaction. So again, a lot of people having to do something else, but yet here you are, you're still here. And we still have all the homeowners, and they're starting to come off the fences now, because unfortunately, most people are hardworking people, and we run up debt in order to try and get, brand new cars are so expensive. And now you got kids getting in cars. You've got debt at record highs. You've got to tap into the equity, and eventually the adjustable rate on a HELOC isn't the way they want to go. Structuring it and keeping it fixed. Not everybody wants adjustable debt. They want to capture it. And so that you may have part of your debt at 2.5%, 3.5%, but yet you have this huge chunk now over 3 years, and we're finally there. And unfortunately, it's just the nature of the game we play. Most people want to have a newer car. Most people, if they can find a way to adjust their lifestyle, because the kids are going to want to go to college, they get older, you're doing more. Divorces are up right now. Money does matter. Monthly expenses, do matter. What are you seeing in your market as far as, you're in such a unique market. Obviously, people have to have money to live in your market. So debt, personal debt in your area. But if you're not living in Santa Cruz, this might be a better question. Where is the next place that people live for the blue collar workers? Are they Redwood City? Where's the outskirts to still have that Santa Cruz lifestyle, but you're not on the beach?
We'd probably go further south, like to outlying areas. Monterey County has its high end stuff, and then it has
Marina, I know what you're talking about.
Some stuff that's kind of moderate in the middle of the road too. So all of California is going to be a challenge, but there's outlying areas. There's Fresno. Like I helped someone purchase in Fresno. I think this was that back in 2020 that I did that purchase in Fresno, but that was another good market that would be. I have, it reminds me, a realtor that I work with there. He's
I'm
a good guy
right now.
It's like, I got to pick up the phone and call him, because we haven't talked in a little while. And he was great to work with on that transaction. I like, working with people I like we talked about before. But it's also, and then when you were talking about that, I have a deal right now that I'm working on. Really well qualified clients, came from a financial planner, and their rates at like an adjustable rate at 7.92. I'm like, where did that come from? And they want to take some cash out to have on hand for the property. Everything that you're talking about, people restructuring debt, people are going to need to work on the home, or especially like my investment clients, they always need to do something on the house. Most of them not going to want to touch that super low rate that I got them, but it happens, it comes up. And so I was trying to go UWM because they do a bank statement loan, but it looks like it's going to be a kind loan, which I'm probably just going to be so much happier, and they're going to be happier because, I'm honest about the process. Like, hey, since Dodd-Frank, to do a conventional loan, it's challenging. Like, as an investor, you're not going to want to do it. You're going to want to just pay a slightly higher rate, and it's going to be a much easier process, So those clients are already starting to resurface and come back.
So, I have people that say, Rich, you're a broker. You're supposed to give out the lowest rate every time. I'm like, you're out of your mind. My job is to make it first of all, is to get the transaction done. Mm-hmm. The second thing is to make it and give choices. Do you want to go the hard route? I have an easier route, and here's the variance between the two. You make the choice. I don't just force people one way, but because people are like, oh, that rate. And I'm like, well, here's the rate the other way. Oh, God, rates. I thought they were still like, no, no, no. Either way, we're talking 7 or we talking 7.5.
Well, and you still get that of people who just don't have.
I'm like, where you been?
We've been outside of this ridiculous rate market. And then, I don't get too deep into it unless the client really understands. But like, that whole quantitative easing and 2% rates, that hurt us in a lot of ways. Like, that's not realistic. And, if you're waiting around for that to come back, you're going to be waiting for a long time, and it's not going to be good for us over the long term. Like, everybody likes lower rates. That's better. But our market is going to change, and it's not necessarily going to be because, if we have rates that low again, we're going to be probably in some trouble over the long term.
Right. Understand what comes with the low rates. The crash of 2008, the C word, there was something bad happening, a black swan event, that then they have to get very aggressive, but it hurts us more than it helps us, which is sad. But when you're trying to run something the size of the United States of America, you're going to have collateral damage no matter what the market is. And unfortunately, one person's hardship can become another person's blessing. Rates may not go down, but values could see a drop. But did insurance get more expensive? And you're still at the same payment, and you waited and you waited and you waited. Be careful what you wait for, because you're sleeping somewhere tonight. And are you paying somebody else's house payment that they took a chance? Nowadays, one of the things I'm going to go speak tonight too, but I don't do first-time homebuyer talks anymore with my realtors. I now do, I teach them, how many do you have, rental properties? Why are you not your best client? Because you have certain areas, like the back of your hand. If it were to come up, you say, oh, I can get X amount of rent for that house. There's a good profit there. And it's like, you could be the realtor on your own transaction and get some of that money back. But why not become your own person, building your wealth, building your legacy? And we now have this DSCR thing to make it so easy. And now we go a step further, and I say, let's get out of Atlanta and let's go look at Southern Georgia, where you can buy a house for $150 and get like $1,200 a month's rent. Like, you don't have to buy the $800,000 house in Sacramento, California as a rental property and put 30% down, or now you got to put 50 just to break even. There are pockets all around the United States, but I'm in Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Arkansas, Ohio. You can pay $99,000 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and you're getting like $900 a month on it right now. That's phenomenal. And these are hardworking people that just want, and these are not bad houses. Like, $90,000 must be horrible. No, it's just the economies of scale. Some places are not California. That's
and you
the best
can't
way I can tell
compare
you.
everything to California's market. I mean, that's crazy. It's its own unique market. I was telling you about my mentor, Jeff. That's the majority of his business right now. He's had a lot of success with his YouTube channel, and he's just helping lots of people, mostly out of state, with DSCR loans. And he's having a lot of success there. So we have our usually a weekly meeting, and I've been really picking his brain on that of like, okay, I'm used to California investors, but there's a lot of unique opportunities out there. Because California is really hard. I mean, the multifamily side, to do a 5-unit apartment, you usually need minimum of 40% down. I mean, they just look
Absolutely,
at the income that the property's generating, and it's challenging to get in. So when you can get in in an easier market, and you're generating income from these properties, it's a fantastic opportunity.
I like it. I always want to make sure I'm sitting here drilling you with questions, catching off guard. Is there any question you might have for me that I could answer for you?
I was just thinking, I think it was 2022 that I came over, and it was probably my, most, challenging time as a mortgage person, because I'm used to the ebbs and flows, but this one is different. We've all felt, the ebbs and flows, but I've just really appreciated, the time that I spent with your company and being able to be a mortgage broker. I mean, I'm excited about, the opportunities for like the DSCR stuff and helping investors, I love UWM. I love that, you guys have a strong relationship with UWM, because I like that, the consistency. Like, if I'm doing a purchase, I know UWM, I know they're going to, process it as quickly as possible and just be there. So, who might I be missing as a broker? Like, are there other, because I've done most of my business with UWM, but like some of the other opportunities that you guys have as far as lenders, I mean, who are you working with? Who do you recommend that I should be talking to?
So I'm going to give you the Rich Hanlin recommendation, because some of these people I've worked with, I only use 5 lenders. We have 126. I use 5 of them because I have relationships, some of them 35 years. But Home Express, Patty Letterman, I've known her for a long time. You got Brianna Harris with Sierra Pacific Mortgage. I mean, down payment, they've really attacked that down payment assistance market. They have a lot of variations. Home Express is DSCR. Now, yes, I get it that UWM can do it, but it's a little different when you have a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac lender that's doing bank statement and DSCR. Home Express is 100% pretty much DSCR and those harder loans. They specialize. Fifth Street Capital, Fifth Street Bank, they specialize. Sierra Pacific is very specialized in their down payment assistance, and she's very knowledgeable. She can answer anything when it comes to those programs. Sure, they can do VA, FHA, stuff like that, but I know if I have a down payment assistance, I'm probably going Sierra Pacific. From there, I've got the Loan Store. Mm-hmm. Kelly, I've known her a long time. We have Kind. We have Nicole at Kind. We have, for me, we have 2 A's now, but obviously Hayden over at UWM. Throw in there, you got Tony Bavacqua. He used to be with Cardinal. Is he New Res? I always get him confused because there's New Res and there's New Fi. I think it's New Res. These are hardworking, knowledgeable. Oh, and I'm going to throw Krista Doniker with Rimmon. So I guess I have 6. These are knowledgeable people that know how to do loans, how to structure loans. And I can call them and say, hey, let's roll with this and keep the business going. But I don't go outside that realm. I don't chase shiny apples. I don't go to Loan Sifter and say, who's got the lowest rate today? Are we approved with them? I don't chase rates. I chase relationships, and I consistently close on time or sooner. And my realtor partners are my customer, not the borrower. So am I losing you there? Your camera giving you a hard time? Can you still hear me?